You are this universe. Everything that's been said here about this universe, that is true as this universe, is true as you. For you, this is not your universe. You are this universe. This universe is you, you see. Everything in this universe, which is you, is eternally, completely perfect. Furthermore, there can be no interruption of this perfection. Don't you see that if in order to be perfection, this universe has to be eternally perfect? Well, then there can't be a time of imperfection. There can be no lapse of perfection. There can be no interruption of perfection, else this universe is not complete perfection. Now remember again, you are this universe is you. Well, about now, you may be asking, is this practical? How does this apply to my everyday living? Well, bear with us a little moment and you'll see. Furthermore, you'll see it in action in your daily affairs. Oh, it works all right. In fact, it is the only way I know that enables us to live freely, joyously, fully, successfully, and to live completely. Oh yes, the fields are ripe right now. All is complete. Let's return, however, to our statement that the completeness, which is this universe, has to be complete something. Now, we have seen that this means complete eternal life, complete joy, complete intelligence, and so on. But let us consider the completeness that is consciousness. Remember, consciousness is spirit, substance. Consciousness is the essence or substance of which this universe is composed. Consciousness is the substance of the stars, the planets, the clouds, sun, moon, and the earth planet. Consciousness is the substance of the trees, the flowers, the water, the birds, the animals. In fact, consciousness is the substance of all that has existence. But you can't separate consciousness from life, as we've said before. There's no dividing line. Consciousness is everywhere. Life is everywhere. Conscious life cannot be separated from mind intelligence. For instance, you know that you are alive as life. You have to be conscious to know this. It takes conscious intelligence to know, really know, anything. Can you tell where your consciousness ends and your life begins? Is there a way to separate your consciousness from your life? Is there a line that you can draw? Can you draw a line between your life and your consciousness? Is there a division between the conscious intelligence you are, knowing that you are alive, and your life itself? No. Thus it is that infinite consciousness, life, intelligence are inseparable. They are one. So we see that consciousness as substance means conscious life and conscious mind are intelligence as well. And this is what constitutes the completeness that is this universe. This is the substance of all form. This is the form of all substance. This is what we really see when our eyes are opened, illumination. And we see things as they are, and incidentally, the reason for this seminar is illumination. This is what we see when we see the perfect body of light. This is the consciousness that is spirit, being intelligently alive as the living substance of all form, the living substance of your form. This is why we can and do see right through what appears to be solid substance, walls, ceilings, and so on. This is why we know that we are free, unconfined, unbound, unfettered. There's no such thing as solidity, as density, as heaviness. There is no weight. The space flyers know that. If there were weight, that weight would also be evident in the bodies, or as the bodies of the space flyers when they are outside of what would be called the weight area. Now, no doubt you've noticed that we always state the truth, that is, the universe first. And then we bring this truth right to the specific identity that you are. Every truth is a universal truth. It is true, and it is equally true everywhere. Now let's return just briefly again to the completeness that is this universe. In order to be complete, this universe has to include everything that is necessary to its perfect, whole, eternal, infinite completeness. We can see that there are stars, planets, galaxies, and so forth included in this completeness. Astronomers say they can see but few of them, and there must be so many more that they couldn't count. Well, some of us know there are. But each star, each planet, each sun, and each moon is essential to the completeness that is this universe. Although in the immeasurable, infinite all, each star and each planet would only appear to be a pinpoint in infinity, yet each one is important. Each pinpoint is important. Each one is essential to the completeness that is the universe. We are not talking about matter now. Let's not confuse this. There is no matter, but there is something here where the bodies of those stars and planets are apparent. This something is conscious living mind, intelligence in form, the very same conscious living intelligence that is you, that is your body. Oh yes, intelligence lives, intelligence is alive, just as consciousness is alive. It's the same thing. There is no dividing line. Can you see why it is well to consider the heavens? This conscious living intelligence has to be alive as something, intelligent as something. This conscious living intelligence is alive and intelligent as something. It is alive as your eternal perfect life and mine. It is intelligent as your perfect mind and mine. It is conscious as your consciousness and mine. But to return to the completeness, what about activity? Well, we can be assured that there is activity in the heavens. We know the stars and planets move. Life is activity. Without life, there could be no activity. If there is movement, activity, there has to be life. But it has been said there is no life in outer space. However, we know better than that. Let's realize that consciousness, substance, life, activity, mind, intelligence are inseparable. They are indeed one. Just as surely as you can see that there is substance, consciousness, and activity, life, in the heavens, you can also see that there is intelligence, mind in the heavens. Consider the beautiful order, the control, the perfect government, the intelligent way in which these stars and planets act. It is easy to realize that this is intelligence in action. If it weren't, there would be chaos in the heavens. If it were not intelligent living substance, acting, living intelligently, what would happen? Why, every star, every planet acts without struggle, without strain. Each one moves intelligently, peacefully in its own orbit. Not one tries to do anything of itself. Not one tries to rob another of its freedom. Not one imposes upon another. Not one interferes with another. Not one tries to have something of itself. It is all one glorious, intelligent, living, loving power operating as the complete harmony of the whole universe, which is God, which is you. Indivisible, inseparable, immeasurable immensity. Let this mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus. Let it be. Let it be itself. Let it be itself as yourself. It already is your mind. It already is your consciousness. It already is your life right here and now. This is your life. This is your consciousness. This is your intelligence. This glorious, all-powerful, loving, living, conscious intelligence is active. It is acting omnipotently, lovingly, intelligently, as your affairs. Let it be. Let it be. It is your very identity, the wholeness and the allness of you. Your consciousness is your universe, the universal consciousness, the omnipotent, loving, living, omni-active intelligence you are constitutes your whole life. It constitutes your daily affairs. It acts lovingly and powerfully as your activity. It acts intelligently and successfully as your activity. It lives joyously and effortlessly, freely as your life. It is conscious of all of this as your consciousness. This, beloved, is your identity. Furthermore, it is the same life, the same intelligence, the same love and consciousness that constitutes all there is of everyone who appears in your universe, your affairs. It is your grocer, it's your neighbor, your friends, your seeming enemy. It is the one you call mother, the one you call father, brother, sister, husband, or wife. Oh, they may not seem to be aware of it yet. Perhaps they still seem to be deeply immersed in the dream. But what is that to you? That is not your problem. You know better. Nothing can resist what you know. There is nothing to resist the truth you know. The truth you know is power because it is true. Your knowing of the truth is power because the mind you are, consciously aware, is omnipotent, loving, living intelligence in action. This is omnipotent omni-action. Omnipotent omni-action is you in action. Now, some of you have asked if each seminar is going to be the same. Absolutely no. If I tried to give the same words, it would feel like warmed over truth, and the inspiration, the fire, wouldn't be so great. Then, too, I find that whatever seems to be the need of each group brings forth that which seems to be necessary at the moment. Just as each one of you has felt that this particular seminar has been the fulfillment of some seeming need in your experience, so it is with everyone in every class and in every seminar. I have never given any two classes that were exactly the same, even though the subject might be the same. The content is never the same. Furthermore, because revelation is continuous, there will be other truths revealed before the July seminar. This is what we have called consciousness expanding, although the word expanding is not a very good word. Rather, it is a greater, deeper awareness of the infinite consciousness I already am and that you already are. All that has taken place here is that you have opened your consciousness, roused yourself from the seeming dream, so that the free flow of your infinite glorious being could be realized. It's like priming the pump. Once the water is flowing freely, it continues to flow. There is no limit to the water. There is no limit to your consciousness. Your consciousness is both the source and the supply of infinite revelation. Just remain full open. Revelation will continue to flow within you. Now, I find it necessary just now to repeat something that was stated before. Nothing ever has to be done. All is done and complete now. There is no coming and no going of completeness, of rightness. All that is right is already true. All that is right is an eternally established fact. It is never doing something to change imperfection into perfection. It is never doing something to change lack to supply. It is never doing something to change sadness to joy or failure into success. It is all a matter of perception. It is opening your eyes and seeing the harvest, complete perfection in all ways. That's what the harvest is. Complete perfection in all ways. The harvest is already present, and the harvest is all that is present. And because you are infinite, complete consciousness, actually you are already aware of that which you seem to be seeking. You are even aware of being it. Consciousness, spirit, is substance. Life is substance in action. Intelligence is substance acting intelligently. Life, consciousness, intelligence are one. This one is you. This one is your consciousness and mine. This one substance is all that can exist in form. It is not confined to the form in which it manifests itself. The outline of the form is not a dividing line separating the conscious living intelligence, which is the body, from the infinite consciousness you are. Is your consciousness confined to your body? Are you not aware of anything that you would call outside the body? You are aware of the trees, the flowers, the beauty, the sky, the clouds, the sun, etc. You can see that you are much bigger than your body, but the consciousness that is the substance of your body is the same consciousness that is infinitely aware, or is your infinite awareness. The body is but as a pinpoint in the infinitude that you are. I'll say that again. The body is but a pinpoint in the infinitude that you are. Yet the infinitude that you are is the entirety of your body. This is the body of light. This is the body that walked on the water, that was across the lake instantly, that appeared in the room with the disciples when the windows and doors were all closed. It is this body that is eternal, beginningless, changeless, and endless. We do not dwell on the body very much because we recognize our infinite being. Conscious, intelligent life is infinitely identified, but each identity is the all of conscious living intelligence. There is no inanimate substance. There is no substance in form that is lifeless, unconscious, or mindless. Your consciousness is not confined to the body. Your consciousness is the consciousness that is the substance in form of everything you see. There is no line of demarcation between your consciousness of a flower and the substance of the flower. This is why it takes beauty to see beauty. You have to be beauty to see beauty, because the beauty you see is your own consciousness in form. This is why the merchandise on the businessman's shelves moves when he is aware of it as being his own consciousness. Actually, it was already sold. It's always sold. If you see even a grain of sand, it is composed of the substance of your own consciousness. Never forget that. But because consciousness, life, intelligence are inseparably one, the grain of sand must be all that this one is. All of this, remember, is your consciousness. Is this practical? Yes. Innumerable students of the ultimate could tell you how practical it is. You notice that the flowers turn toward the light. How do they know to turn to the light? Certain flowers open in the morning and close at night. Certain flowers close if you touch them. Didn't these flowers know of this seminar? Look how they came out and how each flower is turned toward us right here. Of course the flowers know about the seminar. We know about it, don't we? If we know it, and if we are conscious of the flowers, they know it because they are comprised. That is, their very substance is comprised of the conscious living intelligence that we are. So you have heard or read about the experiments of praying for flowers, probably. And it's known, it was proved, that the flowers that were prayed over grew much more quickly and did much better than those that were not prayed over. Well, there again, it is the same consciousness being what it is and knowing that it is what it is. You realize, don't you, that the flowers that were prayed over were comprised of the very consciousness of those who prayed. Thus, both the flowers and the prayers were more aware of being infinite life, infinite intelligence, infinite beauty, infinite love. Although the universe is eternally complete and changeless, it does identify itself as an infinite variety of itself. Yet all that it is exists in and as each variety of itself. It's like every color every color includes all the colors? Why, of course it would, because this is necessary for completeness. All the infinite variety that is this universe is necessary for its completeness, its complete beauty, its complete fulfillment. In fact, we could call fulfillment being filled full. I would like to return for just a moment to something I said just a moment ago. I said that each color includes every other color, and this is true. I was watching the sunrise not long ago, and the predominating color was the most beautiful flame color imaginable. And then suddenly I was in great illumination, and I saw, an infinite variety of colors, but within each color were all of the other colors. Not only those that we might be acquainted with here in what we call the world of sense, but colors that were so beautiful and so far beyond anything that could be seen by so-called eyes of matter, that they were indescribably beautiful. And yet each color included all of the other colors. It's difficult to put into words. But here, the reason I mention this now is that this is an example, just another example, that everything is complete as itself. Even a specific color is complete, including all the other colors, you see. Even as a life is complete, including everyone that is alive, or the life of everyone that lives. How terribly dull it would be if there were but one color. Well, suppose there were but one tone. Suppose all of us were identical in appearance. Suppose that every tree was identical with every flower, and every flower the same. Well, it would be pretty monotonous. This is an interesting and a beautiful universe. The physicists are now saying that there are no two of anything exactly the same. No two stars or planets, no two blades of grass, no two grains of sand. And yet, isn't it interesting that each one includes all of the others? Yet each one is specifically that one and no other. And we are not talking about matter. We don't lose track of the fact that each is the all, and all is the each. Now, as we said before, nothing comes into existence, nothing goes out of existence. We might say that this house right here just came into existence when it was built, but this is not true. This house existed and has always existed as consciousness in form, and there is nothing that brought it into existence, and nothing that's going to take it out of existence. Just like that ball game existed as consciousness in form, consciousness active, even though it seemed to take place just as my husband was watching it on the screen. Now, the very house that we are aware of right here is composed of consciousness in form, and it has always existed, and it will always exist. We just became aware of it because it seemed to be necessary for our completeness or fulfillment for a split second. Nothing comes or goes, all is. There is nothing added to completeness, and there is nothing that can be taken from completeness. Now, you might say, if nothing comes or goes, there can be no birth. Well, this is true. There is no birth, and because of that fact, there is no death. A natural question now arises: what about the fact that the population of the world is increasing? Let us examine this. In the first place, this Earth planet is but a pinpoint in infinity. The planets in this infinity are infinite, innumerable. There are innumerable planets in the infinity. Life is everywhere. Intelligence, consciousness is everywhere. Conscious living intelligence is the everywhere. How do we know how many are living on other planets? And when we know that we are not confined to this planet, we realize that no one is confined to any other planet, too. Sometimes it seems to me that most of us on this planet are still very much babies in the so-called world of sense. But just as your consciousness is infinite, unlimited, and unconfined to this earth planet, so it is that conscious living intelligence is unconfined. The consciousness in form that is your body is the same consciousness in form that is the body of everyone and everything. How do we know about the numbers of identities who dwell on other planets? That is, their bodies are apparent on other planets. Their bodies, their attention is focused there. It is impossible to count the number of identities. Just as the stars and planets are uncountable, so the number of identities are uncountable, innumerable. No matter what planet the body of anyone may inhabit, it is only a focal point for their a center, you might say, for their attention at the moment. But it has no circumference. Each identity is infinite. We will no longer recognize any little circle called the Earth planet as being all there is of our universe. Our consciousness is full open. We are the universe itself. The universe is us. No longer will we say, I live in this world. Rather, we'll realize that the life we are is this world. The conscious, living, intelligent love we are is this world. But this world, our Earth planet, does not contain us any more than the body contains us. We do not just live in this infinite universe. We are this universe. We do not number people or money or anything else. To number is to limit. To number is to confine, to restrict. To number is to divide. To number is to accept a little circle enclosing and confining ourselves and confining our supply. To number is to confine our activity, our success. To number is to confine our peace, our joy, and perfection. There can be no awareness of being complete if we try to enumerate what constitutes our completeness. While we might just as well try to enumerate the stars and planets, the snowflakes, the blades of grass, or the grains of sand, we cannot enumerate what constitutes our completeness. In this seeming dream, we have become so accustomed to numbering or counting according to just what we seem to see through dream eyes or read or hear. But in a dream, we see only the dream's figures, and even they may be distorted. But full, open consciousness is not a dreamer. It is aware of infinite identities, because full, open consciousness is aware of being infinite. Oh, in this so-called dream, we see so little of what is here. It's almost impossible to realize how little we see of that which is all about us. In fact, it's all within our own consciousness. Suppose we were to number the identities whom we can see right here in this room. Suppose we were to say that we are the only ones who can be right now aware of the truth that is being revealed here. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. There are those who are tuning in to what we are saying right now. I mean consciously. I mean they are consciously aware of these revelations. I have letters from many signifying their intention of tuning in during these seminars. Yesterday I had a long-distance call from one who's been right here every session, although she was not visible to so-called human vision. Oh yes, we see so little of what is here. Now what do we mean by tuning in? We mean that the identity was aware of being infinite, unconfined consciousness, thus perfectly free to be here, to be aware of being conscious right here, even though he or she might apparently be in New York, Atlanta, Seattle, or Los Angeles. No, our bodies do not confine us. A little locality does not confine us. We are not localized. This is why I'm not concerned as to the number who attend any class. I'm not concerned about the number who say they are going to tune in. I am not concerned about numbers at all. We could not number all of those who are right now experiencing the very revelation that is being revealed right here. Every identity in existence whose consciousness is full open can actually hear the truth that is being heard right here. Oh, I could tell you much. I could tell you much about this, much more than we're going to state here. But more of this will be realized as you contemplate the truths that have been and are being revealed right here and right now. How can this be? Well, I'll tell you. This is because hearing is not confined to so-called ears of matter. Actually, there are no ears of matter. This is because each full open consciousness is unconfined. The hearing is infinite. There is one hearing, and there is one who hears, and there is one that is heard, actually. There is one voice. There is one voice heard. There is one who hears the voice. The one who hears the voice is the one who is the voice. And because hearing is consciousness, the same all-hearing ear is everywhere at once. All that is necessary is to simply focus the attention anywhere, and whatever should be heard will be heard. Whatever should be seen will be seen. Again, you are unlimited, unconfined, indivisible, inseparable consciousness itself. Yes, hearing is infinite. Seeing is infinite. Hearing and seeing are but specific functions of the one infinite consciousness. Well, let's talk about the so-called five senses. Actually, there aren't five senses at all. It's all one. It's all one consciousness. But consciousness is active. Consciousness functions as hearing, as seeing, as tasting. But it is all a matter of consciousness. It is all consciousness fulfilling its purpose in being vision, in being hearing, in being activity of any kind. Instead of five senses, we could say there are so many more senses than five that it's ridiculous to speak of five senses. Because what of the sense of love? What of the sense that is life? What of the sense that is intelligence? What of the sense that is beauty? What is it that senses beauty? No, it's all a matter of consciousness. Now, somehow I feel here a question as to how it can be that the consciousness you are, the life you are, the intelligence you are, can be exactly the same consciousness, the life and the intelligence of so-called inanimate objects. Well, there are no inanimate objects. As you know, even the physicists, in their examination of what seems to them to be matter, have discovered that even a grain of sand or a piece of wood is intensely active. There's intense activity going on. Sir Arthur Eddington describes it as though it were a sort of an orderly darting around of little gnats or something like that. So there is no place, no locality, you might say, where this consciousness is not, where your consciousness is not. And so wherever there is activity, there is life. Wherever there is life, there is consciousness, as you know. So, of course, the very grain of sand that you see is composed of the consciousness that you are. The very activity that's going on in and as this grain of sand is composed of the conscious life that you are, don't you see? I'd like to give you an example of how practical this is. It might seem that it isn't practical, but it truly is. For instance, I know one who lives in Santa Monica here in California, and she has a table that's an antique. She loves antiques, and she's very fond of this table. Well, somehow or other, a spot got onto the top of this table, and because it was an antique and had never been refinished in any way, she did not want to change the surface of it or have the surface of it renewed. But she called in someone who was supposed to know about those things, an expert in fact, and he told her that there was no other way to remove that spot than to simply renew the whole top of the table. Well, she couldn't quite stand the idea of doing this, so she didn't do it. Well, she had just gotten 3 essential steps, and on the 3rd day of her reading of that book, she was seated beside a window, and suddenly she caught the vision, she caught the light, she saw her oneness, that the consciousness that she was the same consciousness that was the substance of every form and the form of every substance, and she saw it as the life and the intelligence and the mind, and she could see very clearly that there was no inanimate object and no object within her consciousness that was not consciously her own consciousness. Well, presently, she put the 3 essential steps down and walked out into the kitchen for a drink of water. And in walking past the table, she looked down at the table, and the spot was gone. The table, the surface of the table, was absolutely unmarred. Now, how practical is that? That's pretty practical, isn't it? Well, look, have you ever noticed that if a house stands vacant for several months or years, that even when you pass that house, it looks unlived in. It doesn't seem to have a consciousness of fulfilling its purpose and being that house. And you can sense it, you can feel it. Oh, there are many ways. I have a friend, a student of the Ultimate, who has quite frequently the experience of buying cut flowers. And because he knows that nothing in his consciousness can ever be destroyed, because his consciousness is imperishable, eternal consciousness, those flowers will stay and stay and stay alive and just as beautiful, week after week and month after month. And he told me that the first time this happened, it got so that he was sort of overawed by it. And one day he just rushed over and took the flowers and threw them out because it was just too big for him to contemplate just at the moment. But I have seen this take place in many, many situations and in many cases, proving that there is no such thing as an inanimate object. Well, you'll remember that I told you about the grass growing right up through the snow. And in Nevada there, in the middle of the very, very cold winter weather, there was the grass growing right up through the snow. Not one blade was withered. Why, I could even see the roots of the trees, and every leaf just as green and beautiful and fresh. Nothing happens to anything. There was no such thing as inanimate grass, inanimate leaves, inanimate branches. Why, even the very snowflakes are alive and conscious, if we but knew it. Isn't it true that there are no 2 snowflakes alike? Indeed it is true. This being true, then, isn't each snowflake a specific identity? Indeed it is true. Well, isn't each specific identity the very same consciousness that you are identified, the very same life that you are identified, the very same intelligence that you are identified? Indeed so. And now, before we come to the closing of this seminar, I would like to return for a moment to something that was mentioned at the very early in these sessions, and that is the obliteration or the elimination, if you like, of all false sense of the little personal I. Now there is a reason for this, and it's so great and so big that it is necessary to return to it and to explore it farther. Now, I've said that not until we realize that there is no little personal I, and in fact, we went into exactly how we can go about this thing of obliterating the little I. But as we stated, that it is not until there is no little I around at all, and we know there is no little I, that we can recognize and realize the infinite, free, boundless, unrestricted, undivided, indivisible, infinite I that I am. That means, of course, that you are. But now, going farther with this, you know that there's much said about using the words I am. Well, this is true, and it is wonderful to be able to say I am, but be very, very careful here that it is not you as a person saying it, but that it is God saying I am. Only God can say I am. God can say I am that, I am this, I am all. And it is not until your consciousness is so enlightened that it is not a person's even saying I, but that it is God saying I, that the following can possibly be said and realized and be seen to be proved genuine and true in your everyday life and experience. And now, in quiet contemplation, we can confidently say, because I know that of myself I am nothing, I know that I am that I am. Caste, creed, family, and relationship do not exist in the I that I am. I am beyond time, I am beyond space, and the objects of sense experience. Such is God, and I am that I am. I am supreme. I am beyond the expression of speech, but I am known by the eye of pure illumination. I am pure absolute consciousness, the eternal reality. Such is God, that I am. I am untouched by hunger, thirst, grief, delusion, decay, or death. I am beyond the grasp of the senses. The intellect cannot understand the I that I am. I am out of the reach of thought. Such is God, and I am that I am. I am indivisible. I am beyond comparison. I am free from birth, growth, change, decline, sickness, and death. I am eternal. I know no deprivation or death. I am calm, like a vast, waveless expanse of water. I am eternally free and indivisible. Such is God, and I am that I am. Though one, I am the many in manifestation. I am independent also of the law of causation. I stand alone. Such is God, and I am that. I am unchangeable, infinite, imperishable. I am eternal, undying love. I am pure, such is God, and I am that. I am that one reality which appears to ignorance as a manifold universe of names and forms and changes, like the gold of which many ornaments are made. I remain myself unchanged. Such is God, and I am that. There is nothing beyond the I that I am. I am greater than the greatest. I am absolute existence. I am knowledge. I am all bliss, all ecstasy. I am infinite omnipresence. I am endless. I am eternal. Such is God, and I am that I am.
I hope you enjoy this spiritual audio. Like, share and subscribe for more.